It's no secret that I love coffee, but not just any coffee. The rich, bitter coffee we know as espresso. That little shot of heaven makes my day like just about no other thing I can think of. And the best coffee in the world, in my humble opinion? In Naples, baby. Let's explore the world of caffe today on Christina Cooks, the Macroterranean Way.
Underwriting for Christina Cooks is provided by Suzanne's Specialties, offering a full line of alternative vegan and organic sweeteners and toppings. Suzanne's Specialties, sweetness the way Mother Nature intended. Jonathan's Spoons, individually handcrafted from cherry wood, each designed with your hand and purpose in mind. Additional funding is also provided by
Ciao. Ci sono Cristina Perello e questo è Christina Cooks. Quante settimane prepara ingredienti di natura semplice, elegante, delicioso. Sorry, I don't know what I was thinking. Hi, I'm Christina Perello and this is Christina Cooks, where each week we take fresh, seasonal ingredients and whip them into amazing dishes. Will they all be plant-based? Yeah. A lot in Italian? Sure. And will they be delicious? You bet. Certo. So when I was a kid, my nonna made the world's greatest, my husband would disagree because he thinks his nonna did the best, but no. My nonna made the best biscotti, or she called them properly cantucci, which means horsehoof, right? Because these are the crunchy, wafer cookies, like wedges that you dip in coffee. So we're going to make one today that's sweet and savory, very popular in Rome and in Naples to this day, but it's an ancient recipe. So first thing that goes into our mixing bowl is a half cup extra virgin olive oil. So that's 8 tablespoons if you're measuring by the tablespoon, or a half cup if you're measuring by quarter cups, which is how I do it. I measure it when I bake in a very sort of strange way, in that I use very small measuring cups because I like the control that it gives me. Don't ask, it's a very long story and you don't want to hear it. So that's 8 tablespoons. We're going to add to this 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. It should smell like vanilla perfume. And 2 teaspoons gives this a nice sweetness because we are going to use some strong savory ingredients as well. Then we're going to add a quarter cup of brown rice syrup for sweetness, our first set of sweetness. And if you use the cup that you put the oil in, it just comes right out. It's amazing how that works. Next, we add a half teaspoon of ground chia seed. This is my egg. And it's going to whip into the liquid ingredients and be amazing. The next thing to go in is 3 tablespoons of water. I do measure when I bake. I mean, I'm not crazy measuring, but I do measure. And the next thing to go in is 6 tablespoons, hearty tablespoons, of coconut sugar, which is low glycemic sweetener. A pinch of salt. Now, this doesn't get cinnamon or anything like that because this is your liquid ingredients, and because there's other ingredients that would compete with cinnamon, no cinnamon. So this is going to go into a stand mixer, and you're going to whip this until it's like creamy and goopy. When this part of the dough has come together, now we're going to add to this a half cup of fine cornmeal. Cornmeal is a really common ingredient in cookies, particularly in the south of Italy. And then 1.5 cups of, I'm using sprouted whole wheat flour because it digests in the body like a vegetable instead of a grain. But you can also use whole wheat pastry, it's fine. Just don't use white flour. You defeat the purpose of making a quote unquote healthy dessert. Next goes 2 tablespoons of arrowroot. And this is an essential ingredient that's going to make the biscotti crunchy. We eat biscotti, we want that crunchiness. Then goes in some fennel seed, not too many, but this is going to give you, if you don't have fennel seed, use anise extract, it's fine, either one. A teaspoon each baking powder and soda so the cookies rise. It doesn't matter the order in which you add the ingredients now. It really doesn't. That's where I sort of veer away from other people the way they bake. And this is chopped fresh rosemary. This gives the savoriness to the cookie that is just crazy. Now, starting on low, so you don't have flour all over your kitchen, you start to mix these ingredients together to create a stiff, sticky cookie dough. Once the dough comes together, it'll seem really sticky and goopy. You're going to stir in about a half cup of slivered almonds, and then just give it a quick mix, just to get the almonds incorporated. Now, a lot of people say you need to do this part by hand so you don't break the almonds. As we say in Italian, non importa, do whatever you want. Then, using a spatula, clean off your paddle. You can see this is a really soft, sticky dough. If it seems too sticky, like this one seems just a little too soft to me, you'll start to get a feel for it. Add a tiny bit more flour, maybe a couple tablespoons. Because baking with a whole grain flour is like an Italian sports car. Some days it works, some days you gotta mess around with it some more. Now it's perfect. So now you're gonna take it off the paddle. Then using a spatula, you go in and you pull the dough to the center of the bowl. It's very sticky. But these are such gorgeous biscotti, you're not going to care how sticky the dough is. Then on a piece of parchment, you dump it. Sometimes it comes out, sometimes not so much. But what you're trying to do is get all the batter out of the bowl onto your baking sheet. Okay. It's a bit of a workout. Now, you cut your dough in half, roughly. Don't get crazy. Separate it into two pieces. You see, it's really sticky. So now, you're going to wet your hands. And you're going to form each piece of the dough. You're going to really kind of knead it in your hands because now you have to form the logs that become the biscotti. And the way you do that is you take each log and you work it with your hands . Once you have the logs formed, they need to be flat and as long as you can get them, about 2 to 3 inches wide. These are going to go into the oven at 350 for 22 minutes. So can somebody take these to the oven for me? So, God, Mine, what? Aren't you the photographer? Where is everybody?
I think they're all busy doing other stuff.
Okay, could you take those to the oven for me then?
Yeah.
Thank you. Remember, set the timer for 22 minutes. After 22 minutes, Carmine, thank you. You see how they grew and right? So now you slide the parchment paper off and put them right onto your cutting board. And using a serrated knife, you're going to slice these into the wedges that will become biscotti. But they're not done yet. What are you doing? Look at you. You can't help himself. Once you have all the cookies on the baking sheet, this is going to go back to the oven for 7 minutes. Then come back, they get flipped, and they bake for 7 minutes again. Perfect. So then they come out of the oven and you have to cool them, right? So it's gonna take a little bit of waiting time because if you try to flip them while they're hot, then they'll break because there are no eggs. Even though we have chia and we have arrowroot all designed to do the job of making them crispy, that's not gonna happen if they break. So you have to make sure they're cooled enough to handle so that you can flip them. Now these are gonna go back to the oven and then in 7 minutes, we'll finally have biscotti. Thank you, Michelle, my unit manager extraordinaire. Do these not smell amazing?
Yeah, they're good.
Take one. Go ahead, take one.
Yeah.
And so now that we have our biscotti, it's off to taste coffee in Naples with my friend and wonderful guide from Pompeii, Antonio Mosca. Antonio! Ciao!
Great.
Ciao!
Great.
So happy to be here.
So happy to have you
I am here in Naples. This is Piazza Plebiscito. See?
It is.
Tell me
You're
a
right.
little about the square. What
You just arrived in the, I would say, the living room of the town.
Really?
Yeah, basically, yes. This is the monumental area of the town. So basically, the church over there, which looks like another famous building in Italy, you know.
But is it a church, an actual church?
Looks like the Pantheon, basically, in Rome.
Sì, vero.
No, that's neoclassical art because it was built since the 1816, basically.
Okay.
After a king came back from Sicily, because you know, once Napoleon invaded Italy,
Yeah.
the king of Naples here ran away. He
course.
went to Palermo.
He went to
Palermo with the promise to build a new church after he came back, basically.
And he did.
So the hemicycle was built by the French, then they built the church dedicated to St. Francis, the patron of southern Italy, and it's just opposite to the royal building in Naples.
And it,
So with all the main kings we had in the history of the town,
really, all
there
the
are-
statues are kings.
8 kings and the queen. Just the queen arrived.
Okay, carinissimo. Basta con la storia. Shall we get a coffee?
Of course, I was waiting for that.
Antonio, a coffee. Usually we
Yeah.
just stand at the bar. What do you say?
I say, because we have been walking a little bit, why don't we sit a moment with
Yes.
a coffee come?
Let's get a table.
Great.
Sì.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Benvenuto a Campino.
Buongiorno, grazie, grazie.
I'm Gennaro, diretto.
Ci sono Cristina e Antonio Mosca.
Gennaro, buongiorno.
Guido.
Prego, accomodarsi.
Grazie, grazie, grazie.
Grazie Gennaro.
Sì, grazie, espresso.
Sì, ovviamente.
Ovviamente. So, my friend, whenever I speak to you, you talk about the coffee of Naples. Tell me the story about when you came to Rome for a conference.
I don't want to badly treat the coffee
No,
in
no,
other
no,
towns,
it's okay,
but
it's
it's not the same.
No, it's the best here.
I guess so. I don't want to say it's the best because otherwise it looks I'm, forcing too much.
Okay,
this
I'll
or
say
that.
it.
But I would say it's the best.
It's the best.
It is the best.
Why do you think?
First, so it's much denser. So it's a little bit stronger.
Okay.
It's a little bit strong. I guess they put more coffee than other towns in
When
Italy
they pack.
put it, when
Yeah,
they
yeah,
pick
yeah.
it. Probably, 10, 12, 13 grams. So more
That's a
than
lot.
the average in Italy.
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
Then you say here we say the water makes the coffee different. I don't know if it's really correct, but for sure the coffee from this area is toasted, roasted a little more than the other coffee.
Okay.
When I go in other towns, I drink something else.
Really?
Not that much. Sometimes, I have to tell you, sometimes I do prefer the American coffee than a fake espresso.
Ottimo zucchero. Giorgio.
Here we are.
Sugar o senza sugar?
No,
No sugar.
senza.
Ok, il caffè a Napoli, la tazzina è bollente.
Sì.
Noi abbiamo un sistema, abbiamo adoperato. Si fa così, guarda. Si prende il cucchiaino, si fa così E si fa sulla tazzina così, vedi?
Davvero?
Sì,
Wow.
così si raffredda la tazzina. Poi
Ok.
si fa un giretto così.
Ok.
Perché?
Wow.
Perché il caffè va sempre girato. Il caffè ha un rito.
Ok.
Prendere il caffè, perché la crema che sta sopra col liquido nero, così quando si beve si sorseggia il caffè, è come il vino. Adesso prendi il caffè, lo sorseggi, un buon gusto, poco, ferma, no,
Oh,
deve
buonissimo.
gustare sulle labbra.
Wow. So you guys know, Gennaro just explained that when you drink coffee in Naples, you take some of the crema and you rub it around the top. It helps to cool it. It helps to smooth out the flavor of the coffee. You stir it, so that it opens up and the flavors open up like wine. You get chocolate, you get coffee, you get cicoria.
I think it's like a ritual.
Grazie, grazie Gennaro. Grazie mille. Ciao. Go ahead.
Basically, I was saying that even if it's called espresso, so something which reminds you something of
Being fast. You should drink it slowly. Sip, sip, sip. Not
Once
just.
you are in front of a coffee, just 1 minute more, to drink it.
So you should take your time. You stir it, open up the flavors, put it around the rim, which I did not know, which is brilliant. And then you have the perfect Italian espresso. Antonio, shall we go see more things?
Of course.
Ciao.
I was waiting for you.
So Antonio, we've been walking for a while now and talking. I'm feeling a little parched. What do you say? One more coffee? Grazie per caffè, amici. Antonio,
Yes.
dimmi qualcosa. Tell me more about how Naples became so famous for coffee, right? It's not native to here, huh?
Basically not. That's interesting. Naples is a melting pot of cultures, and the coffee is a clear evidence about that.
Right,
From Africa, formerly initially.
right.
Passing by Turkey.
Turkey,
From Turkey, imported in Austria,
okay.
and that's the point because of one of the Bourbon kings, Ferdinando, got married with Queen Maria Carolina from Austria.
Really?
So she introduced
Coffee.
the coffee in Naples.
Qui.
First at the court, at the table of the queen, and
Okay.
then to the streets. And then became so popular, basically.
And the mocha?
And the mocha is interesting as well because the first coffee machine, the cocumelle, invented by a French,
Oops.
again, something from another country. Then became the mocha, invented by a person from Turin, if I will remember.
Torino, okay.
And then became something which looks like Neapolitan, but
So
is the result of
everyone had
mixing cultures,
influence,
basically.
right?
Yeah?
Everyone had influence, but Napoli made it an art form.
Yeah, for sure.
Antonio, I think I will miss the coffee of Naples almost as much as I miss you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Ci vediamo ancora.
See you.
Ciao,
Queen.
caro. I see you soon.
See you soon, I hope.
See you soon. Ciao,
bye.
amici. Ciao.
Ciao,
Ci
guys.
vediamo.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Ciao. And just when you think you couldn't take any more coffee, this cookie is amazing. It's chocolate and espresso together. So we're going to start with 8 tablespoons of olive oil. 8 tablespoons of olive oil is always my fat when I make cookies. So this is going to be 2 quarter cups because that's how I measure, as I said earlier. So this goes in. Okay. Along with 2 tablespoons of brewed espresso. There goes the coffee. Then we're going to take 2 tablespoons of water and mix up some egg replacer. An egg replacer, the one I use, is one that you dissolve in water and you mix into with your liquid ingredients. And it just really works really well, but use whatever one you like. That goes in. A pinch of salt. I always add my salt to my liquid ingredients because I think it makes it dissolve better. Next goes in 6 tablespoons of coconut sugar so that it mixes really well. Three more tablespoons of water. Melted chocolate over a double boiler, right? You put chocolate over simmering water, baking chocolate, and you let it simmer so you have a nice melted chocolate. And that goes in with your liquid ingredients. I'm using a stevia sweetened fair trade chocolate, but you want to use whatever dark non-dairy chocolate that you have. That goes in. And then this goes into our stand mixer, and this is going to mix for about 30 seconds until it's well combined. We're not trying to dissolve chia seeds this time, we're just letting this mix. And once it's all combined and creamy, now you're going to add to this a teaspoon of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of arrowroot, which really helps to hold the cookie together. A touch of cinnamon, which lifts the cocoa up onto your palate, but also helps to stabilize blood sugar. There's a purpose for everything. And then a cup and a half of, I'm using sprouted whole wheat flour, but you can use whole wheat pastry if you can't get sprouted whole wheat. So a cup and a half. And then we're going to mix this again until it comes together into a soft cookie dough. Now this dough's going to seem really soft to you at first, but don't add more flour because you've got egg replacer in here, which is going to start to soak things up. So you need to make sure that you keep your dough very soft. Now we're adding chopped chocolate, as though there's not enough chocolate in here already. Some chopped pecan pieces, about a half cup. And chopped hazelnut pieces, about a half cup. And this gets mixed again, just until the nuts get incorporated into, and the chocolate into the dough. And then, don't overmix. Get it off the spatula. Take a parchment-lined baking sheet. And you're going to use a tablespoon measure to just drop cookies. Now leave some space between these because they're going to spread, and because of the egg replacer, the top of the cookies will crack. So I usually do about 3 across. You know, when we think of cookies and coffee, especially coffee and chocolate, we think it's caffeine, it's going to make you feel jittery, whatever. But research shows that coffee helps us to manage stress, boost immunity, and feel better about life. But not when you're walking around having that tumbler of coffee in your hand while you run errands. It's time to drink coffee the way Italians do, sitting around that little lovely cup of espresso and enjoying the social moment of really enjoying that coffee. These are going to go into the oven for 15 minutes at 350. So here you have these perfect cookies, and the egg replacer helped them to crackle on the top just as you want them to. So it's the perfect companion to your little shot of espresso. So what are you waiting for? Let's get back to the cutting board, and I'll see you next time on Christina Cooks, the Macroterranean Way.